So lateral moves, um, translations of figures on a coordinate plane. So lateral just means like on a flat surface or going up. Like, so if you're walking up a ladder, you're going straight up. So it's still, again, just translations. They like to use all the different vocabulary words that you might see or the different ways people say it. So it's just translations on a coordinate plane. Remember, a coordinate plane is the x and y axis. So if you were to identify an ordered pair from this star, you could be talking about this point, like right here, that's at 8, and then it's that x comma y. So it would be 8, or no, 9 probably. 9 comma 2 maybe, or 3. Okay, so that is the lesson that we're doing. You could read the learning objective. We're going to translate geometric figures. Sorry, my son just ran by. And so here we go. Again, hopefully you guys have figured this out by now. I don't like reading all of those things. It's way too much for me, especially being dyslexic. So I know what it's asking us to do, and that's what we're going to do. We're not going to read all of that. Okay, so I'm going to get my patty paper, and notice I'm going to trace the x and y axis, and actually, no, sorry. We will need that in just a minute, but for right now, I'm just gonna trace just the figure, and then if we need to, I will trace the other part. So A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm gonna mark my points. Okay, so I'm going to move it out of the way so I can tell you what it says. So it says trace the figure and copy the labels of the vertices on the patty paper, which the labels are just the letters. Okay, now it says translate the figure down 6 units. So we have just been like moving it down, moving it left, moving it up. But now we're actually going to move it down. So notice B is right here. So if I'm going to move it down 6 units, I'm going to use a pencil. So if I'm going to translate the whole thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that's where my new B is. But I'm going to do that by just moving it. So 1, notice I moved from here to here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, you can probably hear my son running around, and he's going to get in some trouble in a second. So remember to flip your paper over and mark these points. So when I do that, now I have to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then when I push down on that, it will mark those points. So we have here, 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 and here. So we needed to move, we've just looked at B, but let's count and see if A did the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then if you count from each of them, so this was A, let me grab a colored, so that's A, so this would be A prime, that's B, so this is B prime, C is C prime, D prime, E prime, and F prime. And then it says, then identify the pre-image and the image. Remember, this is pre. Ooh, that green is really hard to see on there, isn't it? Let me get my purple. So this is the pre, and this is the image. Okay, did the translated figure do it with a different color, which we kind of did, and it's figure W prime. Did it change the size or the shape? So remember, that's asking, are they congruent? So yes, they are congruent. it's asking for the coordinates down here. So notice the first one, the coordinates of A were 2, 5. So now we're going to have A prime, and we're going to write the points. So this is actually at 2, and that 0 goes there. So this should be -1. So that A prime is at 2, -1. B prime, notice it's right 2. You go along the X, then the Y. So I'm going to go along the X-axis, alphabetical, then down the Y-axis. So 2, and then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's at 2, -5. C is at 4, -5. So 4, -5. C prime. D is at 6, -3. D prime is at 6, -3. E prime is at 6, -2. So notice I'm looking on the x-axis at the number, then I'm looking on the y-axis to see the value there, and I write the 6, then the -2. F is right here, so it's 4, and then -1. Okay, now this last question down here, compare the coordinates. So if you look from A to A prime, what do you notice changed and what do you notice stayed the same? So 2, 2. So that x value didn't change. Let's look at this one. 2, 2. Well, that stayed the same. 4, 4. 6, 6. 6, 6. 4, 4. So those are all the x values. So x values stayed the same. Okay, now look at now the y values. So 5, -1, well that changed. 1, -5, 1, -5, wait, those are the same number. 3, -3, 4, -2, 5, -1. So the y value changed. How much do you think it changed? So how much do you think the y value changed? Well, if we look, 5 to -1, you want to take a guess at how many that is? From 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, you can't see what I'm pointing at. So from 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it went down, or -6. From here to there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's where it came from. So y value changed by subtracting. We'll say subtract 6. Subtract 6. Okay, let's go to the next one. We're going to skip number 2. I just didn't really like that question. And then we're going to go to number 3. So use the table to record the coordinates of the vertices of each point. So the original A, B, C are actually already over here on this table. So now let's do 5 units to the right. And I'm going to try to do this one without patty paper so that we can start seeing something. Okay, so A, I'm going to take each point, and this time I'm not going to do it as one whole. I'm going to do it as individual points. So let me zoom in just a little bit. So I'm going 5 to the right. So I'm going to take each point and go 5 right. So here it is at -3, 4. And I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice I just put little tiny dots to help me count, but this is actually where A prime is at. And that is at the point 2, 4. So I'm going to actually write that so I don't have to come back and think of it later. So 2, 4. Okay, now let's move B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's B prime. And that's at -1, 1. C, let's count over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C prime. That one is at, if I move along the x-axis, oh, you can't see, sorry. If I move along the x-axis to 1, and then it's 1 above 8, which would be 9. So it would be 1, 9. And you can draw that. I forgot to go over here and write my points. So B prime was at -1, 1. C prime was at 1, 9. So when you look at those, you should see something different than what we saw a minute ago. So from -3 to 2, that changed. -6 to 1, that changed. -4 to 1, that changed. So for this one, the x value changed. And it was moving right. So keep that in mind in just a second. Okay. Let's do, oh, I'll use purple for this one. Okay, so now we're going to do the second part of the table. So now it says 8 down. So we're going to take this one and move it 8 down. No, actually we're going to take the original. So let's go to the original. So, and actually you can see right here it says translate triangle ABC. Notice it doesn't say A prime, B prime, C prime, so we're translating the pre-image. So, glad I saw that just now. Okay, so let's take each point again. So I'm going to do 8 units down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is our new A. It's the second A, so I'm going to write over here A double prime. That's at the point between -2 and 4, so that would be -3. So it'd be -3, comma. It's hard to see because I just wrote my A there, but there's -2, -3, -4, so that would be -4. C would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's C double prime. Notice that's at -4, 1. So I'm writing it over here. -4, 1, -3, -4. And then B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to erase all those extra dots so that they don't confuse me. So that would be B prime, and that's at -6, -7. B double prime is at, oops, I wrote 1, -6, -7. Okay, so again, look back at your original. The x stayed the same, but on this one, the y changed. Okay, so we're going to just kind of talk about these so without doing anything with them. So if a triangle is translated to the right, what happens to the coordinates? So we're not going to actually do it 12 units. I just want you to think what would happen. So if I move right and you think about the x and y axis, if I move right, that's this direction. So am I going to be getting larger in my x values or smaller? Am I going to add to my x values or am I going to subtract to my x values? Well, right, as I move right on a number line, the numbers get bigger. So right, I'll move this down in just a second. You add to x values. Okay, well, if I was going left, what do you think I do? Left, the numbers get smaller, so you subtract from x values. Okay, well, we moved down, so what do you think down does? If I'm moving down, I'm moving along the y-axis. So then down, and are the numbers as I move down getting smaller or getting bigger? They're getting smaller, so you subtract. So subtract from, and that's from the y values. Okay, and then if you move up, you're moving up on the y-axis, then the y values are getting bigger and it's moving along the y-axis. So the y values. So it would be add to y values. Okay, so those are really important. I like to draw the little cloud bubbles sometimes. You could highlight these. So do something so that when you're looking back in your book, when you need help with something, you have them to look at. Okay, so we are going to do one example real quick. I know this video is getting pretty long, but we're going to do one. So let's go ahead and do right. So if I am moving a triangle right, that means all I need to do is add to the x values. So this is all that's going to change. And if it says to the right 12, then I need to add 12 to that. So I'm going to put plus 12, plus 12, plus 12. So D prime, you're going to see, I'm going to do negative 7 plus 12. E prime, I'm going to do negative 5 plus 12. And F prime is going to be negative 8 plus 12. I know you guys love adding too. So I'm getting my calculator out on my phone. Yes, I know my battery's about to die. So I'm going to do negative 7. So to do, you're going to hit 7, hit the negative button, and then do plus 12, and you get 5. So this new point would actually be at 5, 10. This one, if I have 5, negative 5, remember you have to hit the negative after, and then plus 12 is 7, so it'd be 7 comma 5. And then if it was 8 plus 12, it'd be 4, so it'd be 4 comma 1. Now, sometimes you actually have both movements. I'm going to have that be the extension piece of the assignment. But sometimes you have two movements. You might move left and down, so you would subtract from both values. Just like I did here, you would just have to do like minus 1, minus 1, minus 1. So you might have to do both at the same time, or you could do it in 2 separate steps if you prefer doing it in steps. Okay, good job.